All right. We have some terrific executives for all of us to meet. These are true brand innovators. Going to speak about their business, and we're going to talk about brand loyalty, preserving it, establishing it, enriching it. I think among the four of us, in terms of kind of a kindred spirit, I think to a certain extent we're all in the experiences business. With Julia, it's the experience of being in a community that's devoted to strength and wellness and fitness and high performance living. For Traci, I think Mastercard really created the experience economy with its priceless, memorable moments that Mastercard empowers for all of us. And then Michael, the experience of companionship and deep connection and affection. I'm Evan Messenger, Hang Media. We are also in the kind of experience business. Sports fans can actually watch the big game, their favorite team, actually with their sports heroes together. And it's been a very exciting experience for us for kind of this new paradigm in sports medium, which is direct to consumer. So thank you all. I think this is going to be a great discussion. So I'm thinking that we all you guys introduce yourself, but I was thinking, as part of, this is a very eclectic group, where they are now in their careers aren't where they started. Fashion, dancing, agency world. So I was thinking you describe your backgrounds as if you were posting on OkCupid. How's that, Michael?
You didn't give us this warning.
Okay.
Damn it. Well, let's let Michael go first then.
Add this to the blooper reel, please. My background prior to OkCupid and Match Group, I would say I was all about your favorite brands under food and beverage. So my background is completely outside of dating, outside of tech. I worked on Dunkin' and Excedrin migraine and Barbie and Hot Wheels and all these things that I didn't really have so much of a personal connection to. I remember when I started working on Excedrin, I've never had a headache. Knock on wood or something. Watch, I'll get a migraine on stage now. And I never really played with toys as a 20-year-old. But that's sort of where my background started.
I think my background has always been in either hyper creative or hyper analytical businesses. So I have a computer science degree, but I worked in fashion. I was investment banker, still recovering from that. And ultimately always kind of went to too creative, too analytical, and then left my home at Equinox, which is both extremely creative and extremely analytical 5 years ago or so.
So I used to be able to say that I spent half my career at the agency and the other half on the client side, but I've gotten a little bit older now and I can't say that anymore. So I've been on the client side for quite some time now, but I did start in digital media back at Neo at Ogilvy. Actually, it started as M1, if anybody knew what that was. And I was working on IBM, Six Flags. I got to actually go across a lot of different brands and kind of get a feel for what I was passionate about. And then I moved to PhD, where I got to work on two areas of passion. One was around philanthropy, so it was the Truth Campaign, the American Legacy Foundation. And if you remember the Truth Campaign, it was super fun, super creative. We got to do a lot of cool things, worked with MTV a lot, all of that you kind of as a young executive get excited about. And then the other brand that I worked on was Elizabeth Arden. So I got to play in the beauty world. And as a woman who definitely loves beauty and fashion, I gravitated towards that. And I was fortunate enough to find my way client side to Estee Lauder, where I spent 4 years with this amazing guy right here, Doug. And I I will tell you, working in the fragrance division and working with a bunch of fashion designers, I learned very quickly how exhausting that could be, and how even if I was passionate about it, it's a tough industry. But I did enjoy it, and I moved to Mastercard. Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, to start because I was looking for brands up in Westchester that were closer to home because I had a young kid and whatnot, but there was really, to me, only one brand that made sense for me, and it was MasterCard. And I just remember the Priceless campaign growing up. Like, it was one of the first marketing advertising campaigns that just blew me away. And I felt like I could definitely get behind it and feel passionate about what the brand stood for. So that's my background.
Yeah. So maybe let's stay with you, Traci, in terms of the theme of our discussion about brand loyalty. MasterCard has been incredibly loyal to Priceless. I think we discussed 20 plus years. How does that loyalty continue to be vibrant and relevant to not only existing MasterCard customers, but new ones coming into the space?
Yeah, it's when you have a campaign that's been in existence for so long, it's, first of all, it is an amazing campaign. So some people think it's easy, like, oh, we have Priceless, but we have changed it so much over the years, and the way it's evolved it has been quite the journey. And I think the best way to describe is when it first started, it was really about creating and inspiring those experiences. And kind of sharing them out with the world, right? So the first ad was, a boy at a baseball game with his dad, and it was all about the conversation that was priceless, right, between the two of them. And it was illuminating all the priceless experiences that exist. But then we evolved it to be more curated, right? So we actually started providing priceless experiences for consumers as part of being a card member, and really leaning into that hard, so much so that it, drove us to identify passion areas that we felt were most important to our consumers, and thus, how we found a way to express ourselves and show up in those really inspiring moments, right? So from sport to travel to music, we started thinking about how do we bring priceless experience to life in those areas. And then about a few years ago, we slanted it a bit to be more about inspiring you to start your own priceless experiences. So really, it was, the tagline was, of course I'm going to forget it now because there's been so many changes since then, but it was about starting a priceless moment in your life. And so sharing that out on social and inspiring others to kind of do the same. And so it's evolved over the years. It's not an easy thing to actually keep a campaign like that going, but I am really proud of the direction it's taken. The only other thing I'll say is we've leaned into, on the passion side, like bringing out the purpose part of it too and tying the two together. So we've done a ton of work around, developing new card products like True Name, which is, for the transgender community, and making them feel like they can too also experience things in the way others have, without the shame or the embarrassment. And so, I think we've done a really good job evolving it along the way, and we're going to continue to do so. But I think Priceless is just a powerful platform.
No doubt. Thank you. So, Julia, just keeping the conversation about loyalty and the wellness and fitness world. I mean, I've gone through, and I'm sure it's indicative of most folks, whether that's the mobile apps, the virtual workouts, the home gyms, the trainers, the rise and fall of Peloton, my wife having the mirror, now it's a piece of furniture somewhere in the house. So how does Equinox create an experience with such a myriad of fitness and exercise? That's question one. And isn't loyalty, even for a phenomenal brand like Equinox, isn't loyalty so difficult? Because the gym, again, probably aging myself, often the gym for me was where I was living at the time, if it was convenient. So it seems that loyalty is a difficult thing to do in your business.
Well, so many things to unpack here, from trends to loyalty. Look, I think fitness is interesting in that, unlike a lot of product-based companies, it inherently has an emotional connection to you. And so from that standpoint, we're lucky to be in that business, though we don't actually consider ourselves a fitness brand. And I think that's the most important thing. We consider ourselves a high-performance luxury brand where you happen to do fitness, but so other things. As you think about loyalty, which I think is like a very sexy topic these days, there's there are tactical things you can do, like gamifying the experience, giving you coupons and whatever. Yes, great, it can drive your results. But the way we think about loyalty, and have done for now 30 plus years, is how can we evoke a feeling? Because if it's emotional to you, you will come back to it. And what I mean by this is everyone can have a treadmill, but not everyone can have a treadmill at scale in the way we do it around community of people. So what Equinox have done, I think, an incredible job at is making you feel like you belong and stand for something. There is a badge of honor that if you have an Equinox app or back in the day a fob, that you are showing that you actually care for yourself. We're not for everyone. We're inclusive in that we're for everyone who's a little bit more serious. But we inherently attract people to be loyal to us because we actually are part of who they are as identity, who they identify themselves with and who. And so, and we've proven to do it in a variety of ways. We, for example, opened an Equinox hotel, which is actually top 50 hotels in the world. The only other hotel in the US is Amman. And it's interesting, a gym opens a hotel, right? And we've done it because we extended what we're good at, which is hospitality, luxury, high-touch service, which comes from humans. It's the person that greets you. Going back to your convenience question, people join Equinox for the global affinity, but it's the person at the front desk that greets you, or your personal trainer that you come back to, right? We're a coffee shop. And so the hotel, and there's something I'm going to show you guys, the hotel stands for, the tagline that we use is, for those who want it all, in that it's not just about fitness. We want to be the best of what we want to be in all aspects of life. And every campaign that Equinox have done throughout the years was always about the feeling of someone who just wants to be better, and every single day. And so our latest campaign, which I would love to show you guys very quickly, is about evoking desire, because desire is the engine that makes you go. Desire is what makes you do things differently, break things, and go things. And so the campaign is called Want It All. And the reason I want to show it to you, it's, if you haven't seen it all over New York, there's nothing fitness about this. And I think that's exactly why people are loyal to our brand. So with that, it's very short, but someone can put it on, would be great.
Want intensity.
Want indulgence.
Want stasis.
Want speed.
Want yourself. Want honor.
Want access.
Want restraint. Want softness.
Want strength.
Want pain.
Want pleasure.
Want ice.
Want vigor. Want calm.
Want chaos. Want to start all.
Want it all.
That was terrific, terrific.
And so, it's not fitness, it's life. It's been a tagline that I just lastly want to say is we actually didn't come up with it. Right after World Trade Center happened, our club in Tribeca became a place where a lot of people, day after they were coming back, because they were kind of felt like this was the other home and their local community. So they might not know who the person at 6 a.m. runs next to them on the treadmill, but they always saw them. And so they came back for this feeling more. And our chairman at the time, Harvey Spivak, still a chairman, walked in to the club to check on the team. And a guy who's run a creative agency called David Letman came up to him and he goes, Harvey, you don't get it. This is not fitness. This is our life. And so it became our quote-unquote tagline. And so, again, not many brands in general in the industry have done a good job that I think Equinox have done, essentially speaking to something that's way deeper than the actual product you're using.
Great. Thank you for sharing that video. It's excellent. So, Michael, let's talk about the love business and loyalty in the love business.
Want it all.
So is loyalty and online dating seems incongruous. right? And I know we were just speaking, you told me there are 1,200 online dating sites, and I was thinking like, so many men, so little time. I was like, how is that? Is there such a thing as loyalty in your business?
Yes. What's actually nice about our business compared to some others, most people, I would guess, have one gym that they're going to go to, one car that they're really dedicated towards. The average number of dating apps that people are on at a time has actually increased in the almost 5 years that I've been working at Match Group. So our loyalty is a little bit different in that I don't necessarily need to get someone off of Hinge or Tinder to be joining OkCupid. I just need OkCupid to be in your roster. And for anyone who doesn't know, I work on Archer and OkCupid. So OkCupid is an app that's been around for 20 years this month. We pride ourselves on really being the only dating app that matches people on what matters to them through an app question. So that's really what powers our algorithm and how we're connecting people. There's thousands of questions on the app. We really use those questions to create a personal, tailored experience for everyone around the world. So if you're dating on OkCupid in New York City, you're going to have a little bit of a different experience than someone in Tel Aviv, someone in London, someone in Tokyo. We have localized questions in over 30 markets around the world. We're translated in more than a dozen different languages. We even have questions specifically for queer people. And even within our community, or my community, there are questions for gay men and questions for lesbian women. So we know that dating is really so personal. Another way we think about loyalty for OkCupid is looking at our target audience, which are Gen Z, millennials, and finding a way to become their best friends, speaking to the things that are really, really important to them. So when I started in 2019, one of the first things I looked at was, what are the most answered questions on OkCupid? They were things like, do you want to hold hands on a first date? Is coffee a great option for a first date? About dinner or drinks? Really surface level topics. When I re-looked at that data over the past year, the most answered questions, and especially the most answered for women, were, are you pro-choice? Is mental health important to you? Are you open to talking about therapy in your relationship? Do you support marriage equality? So we've seen a huge shift, and we lean into that shift. And I think the reason why someone comes to OkCupid and stays there is because we take a stance on everything that's top of mind for them, that they truly, truly care about. So if you're having a conversation with your friends, your coworkers, we bring that to OkCupid. We ask questions about Black Lives Matter. We ask questions about climate change, reproductive health, marriage equality, LGBTQ rights, gun control, education reform, the list goes on. Because we also understand that we are a platform that fosters connection and conversation. And some of these conversations can be really awkward for people. So if we can add in a question that's going to make this a little bit easier for you to find someone that you're more compatible with, or you just don't want to have these deeper, heavier topics on a first date, we're doing all that work for you. For Archer, which is a very different app, it's a new dating app for gay, bisexual, and queer men that we launched last year. The way we thought about loyalty is trying to reach today's queer male dater. So for anyone who's gay and been on the apps, a lot of the biggest players that we're going against have been created over a decade ago with very little innovation since. And for me, dating apps were the first way for me to meet other gay men when I was still closeted. And when I downloaded, this is recording so I can't say the name, but one of the biggest players out there, I was just flooded with a sea of blank profiles and black squares. And for me, it really reinforced this idea that queer love and connection should be hidden. It should be anonymous. It should be secretive. And it was really triggering because I felt like there wasn't even a safe space within my community. So when we at Match Group thought about building an app for today's gay dater, we thought, what are they not getting? And who is today's gay dater? And it's people who celebrate who they are open, and don't want to hide. So on Archer, every profile is selfie verified. When you open the app, all you see are faces. You can DM and show other things, but that's not what you're going to see up front. So that's how we're using each of these apps to like reach the people that we are actually targeting. It's really thinking about who that actual person is.
Great. That's terrific. This notion of purpose-driven, I think that's relevant to all of your businesses. I'd love to. So what I think you're suggesting is that it's no longer the kind of what might be a trite conversation about, do you like walks on the ocean? It's, what do you stand for? And can we make a connection that way? So that's really interesting. And I guess purpose is what Equinox, in a way, a high performance life that's balanced, and purpose has got to be important to that, right?
It is. I think, look, and I genuinely hate this whole like corporate, social responsibility buzzwords. I did cover ESG as an asset manager before, so like I know the metrics, and we actually, what's interesting about Equinox, and we don't put statistics out there, we're extremely diverse. We're 60% diverse, depending how you slice it. The reason, what's tricky about what you stand for is that we attract everyone who is serious about bettering themselves. So there's like affinity of continuous and innovative improvement as a person. But you can have all of different views on political, etc., because we're an inclusive community for anyone. You can go work out and be better, whether you are pro this or pro that. And so it is actually incredible and equally challenging as a brand to stand from a brand standpoint for things, because we don't want to be alienating to anyone other than don't be a dick. I mean, literally, just be a good person. And we actually have a policy of kicking people out if they are. And so that's where the purpose goes. Now, within those, we do have micro communities of interest that we then support and amplify. The best example of it is something called Cycle for Survival, which not many people know came out of Equinox, but it's we donated, we raised today $250 million for rare carcinoid research. And the way we've done it is one of our members was diagnosed with rare cancer back in the day, and she asked if she can raise money for herself in one of our cycle studios.
What is that disease? I'm sorry?
Cycle for Survival and cancer. And so we said, okay, you can take over the studio, bring your friends. And unfortunately, she died, but her husband took the movement. And for the last 20 years, we blew it in one of the largest research thing. And so it came innately from someone who was in our clubs, and we just used our platform to grow it and support it. And so that's how we think about purpose and our place to be.
I ride it every year, by the way.
I love it.
Fantastic.
That's terrific. Let's talk about some fun executions. We talked about what you did, which was phenomenal with rugby. Tell the group, I thought it was awesome.
Sure. So, again, I talked about passion points, and sport is one of our big ones, and Rugby World Cup is one of our biggest sponsorships that we are partners of. Any rugby fans in the room? Yes, nice. I've become such a huge rugby fan. There you go. Good. You had a good run. So one thing we did this year we're really proud of is we own the Player of the Match trophy for the tournament. And so every year we come up with a new innovative way to present it to that Player of the Match. The last Rugby World Cup in 2019, we had a live trophy situation where we were etching quotes from broadcast onto the trophy in real time and handed it right to the player as they were awarded it. So that was like the first iteration of that. And then this year we took it to the next level, and we actually embedded a new sonic music track that was created literally while the match was going on in a studio in Paris, like a few miles from the stadium. And they sang and changed the lyrics. So we had a soundtrack that kind of all of the trophies had, with the live commentary mixed in, fan voices mixed in. But the last few matches, the final and semifinal, we actually created new soundtracks live in the moment. And again, they got to take that trophy home, and hear the song sung about the game and the actual thing that happened in that moment. And it's priceless. You don't see trophies nowadays that you could press a play button on and relive that experience. And so we again are all about bringing those priceless experiences to life. And yeah, it was a great one.
Well, we're going to open it up for questions, but I'm very impressed with the three of you in terms of how passionate you are about your brands, both professionally and personally. It's really refreshing to see that in the workforce. So, questions?
Hi, everyone. Great panel. Hi, Julia. Dina Fierro from Shiseido. I wanted to ask a question about sort of the role that you see emergent tech playing in brand loyalty in the next 12 to 24 months.
Sorry, did you have a specific person you referred the court? Okay.
I can go real quick. We are, like everybody, very hot, of course, on AI and Gen AI and what that means. Again, it does go back to, for us, purpose-driven, right? So we want to look at new technology and in particular AI in a way for AI for good, right? So the ideas and the things that are coming out of our company right now are very focused on that because I think to build brand loyalty in a world where people are very skeptical and don't really understand the nuances, we have to be thoughtful, we have to be brand authentic, right? So we came out with a product, or we're about to launch a product that we just announced in the small business space that kind of levels the playing field for diverse entrepreneurs. And we landed on that through a ton of research, through identifying like, hey, there's a ton of bias in AI, and we as a company actually can help solve that because we've got access to inclusive data and we can actually change the game. And so I guess what my answer is that I think brands can stay loyal, or you can build brand loyalty through being authentic and true to who you are, but also by focusing on technology for good.
One thing we did quickly for OkCupid, I'm allowed to say it now, but last year, 2022, we couldn't build any new product features for OkCupid, and we had a very stripped down marketing budget because we were busy building Archer. So coming into the year, I thought, how am I going to keep OkCupid top of mind with virtually zero budget? And I don't know if anyone's ever heard of ChatGPT. It's this new tool. I thought about like, how can we use ChatGPT for OkCupid? And for us, a big win is going back to our questions. So I opened ChatGPT and had ChatGPT write all OkCupid's questions, added them to the app, and we used it as a huge PR moment for us. But it caused activity on our app to skyrocket. So logins after the story broke jumped 11%, which sounds like a small number, but when there's millions of people on the app, it's a huge group of people. And we wound up committing to every single month adding new ChatGPT questions because people heard about it and they were really interested in coming to the app and trying to figure out, was this written by a chatbot or what? And they just started to become more and more and more active on the app. And again, goes back to our core product differentiator.
I mean, you and I had this conversation already over the dinner, but the thing about that is all for tech, and we've almost actually launched something on Web3 last year. We ended up not doing it, so we believe in kind of tech as a support. I think being a physical business that the core product is an experience is a little trickier than a product company. And so the best way I think using tech is to scale what's happening right now in an inorganic way, which is what we call a surprise and delight moment. It's the fact that the front desk knows your name. It's the fact that the person you order a smoothie from knows exactly what you need and how you want to modify your shake. How can we create this at scale and use tech to help scale, though, is kind of a question, and AI is obviously huge there, that we try to solve, so that we're not relying on training people and honestly just people own curiosity to do more, but actually there's a system in place, which, it's going to be a long journey, but that's where we see opportunity.
Okay. Thank you very much. Wonderful. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you.